All right, so this is a round stock, just like the one that we're gonna be working with. So whenever we cut it in the horizontal bend saw, we get reasonable, nice flat finish. However, we shouldn't consider that this is flat, right? So today we're gonna go over the operation of facing, right? So facing is the operation of making the front of the round stock flat, okay? All right, so when you get this piece, technically, I'm gonna do it an exaggerated version of it. What we're getting is something like this, see? Do you see that there is a chance, or it's always gonna be slightly different, one to one side or to the other side, you know? Just like I would just wanna exaggerate. How can we see this? So if I get my piece, I'm gonna stick into my chuck there. When I'm facing, I'm gonna try to have more of my material in. I'm just gonna leave a little bit sticking out, because if I have too much sticking out, there's some deflection that my piece can have. So I'm just gonna, whenever I'm facing, I'm just gonna leave enough material sticking out so I can work with it, right? So we're gonna go over this with you guys. So I'm gonna have it in low. I'm gonna have it in a, we're gonna run at 400 RPMs so we can face, right? So I'm gonna start my lathe that's put out and down. So I'm gonna wait to get to 400 RPMs there. Okay, now I have this hand wheel that makes my cross slide go in, and I have this hand wheel that actually makes my carriage go back and forth, right? On the DRO, if I'm moving back and forth, on my DRO there, we're gonna see that my Y is gonna change. You see, I'm moving this one, we're gonna see that my Y changes, right? While when I move this one, my X is gonna change. See, the X is gonna show my diameter, okay? So what I wanna do now is, I wanna go in and just to show you like that same thing that I showed you on the paper, how it works. So I'm just gonna go in enough so I can put a scratch on it. So this is also called zero my Y, right? So I'm gonna go in. I can see that I took some material there. So now I'm gonna turn it off. Just gonna go back to the spot. And we can see that we did cut some of one side, but not the other side. An easier way to see this is when I do this. Look, I can grab my marker and I can blue my whole piece here in the front. Okay, now it's gonna be easier to see. Turn on, go back. I'm just gonna go in a little bit, all right, on the side. I can see that I put a scratch there, see? I just cut on that one side there. I didn't cut the other side. So what do you want? To be able to face this piece I have to have take enough material here, so I'm gonna make cuts on both sides, and then I can actually run my lathe, and then I can take a full path, right? But first I want to make what it to have a full ring all the way around, so I can start my machine again. I'm gonna go forward more. Stop. There's a little bit of blue on the outside there, so I have to go a little bit more. So now I took all the blue from outside. That means I already made a cut all the way around. So everything that's in blue, if I take a horizontal pass now, a full pass facing, I should take all that blue away, right? So usually what I would do at this point, so after I do a full ring, I would zero my Y. I'll bring my cross light back. I would go inside with my Y just a little bit. And bring my cross light back. I'm gonna go forward a little bit, and we can see there. Let's see, 6 thousandths, okay? Now I can turn it on, and I'm gonna take a full path. So I'm going in, right? I'm only working with one hand, but what we want to do is actually do a little bit with one hand, move up to the second hand. All right. So now, after I'm done, I can zero my Y, right? Because this is the new position of my blade that tells me what's the front, right? If I need to say I have to take 10 thousandths more, I can just what? Move back, move 10 thousandths more. Oops, 13, oops. All right. About 10 thousandths more, turn it on and take a pass again, right? So to be able to use the DRO, we always are gonna kind of zero where you want and move as much as you want to move in, right? Okay, so when we face, we want to look here to see if the finish was a good finish. My finish wasn't good because I was using only one hand. I was going forward, forward, forward because I was using only one hand. We want to try to make it a constant move. So one of the options is setting up the speed, the adjustments, so we can use the auto feed, right? So, for example, I have here B, C, U. If I look in this chart here, if I have B, C, U, I have the speeds of 1.4 thousandths or 4.1 thousandths. So the speed in the X direction here will be the one on the bottom, so 1.4 thousandths. That means for every rotation of my chuck, I'm gonna move 1.4 thousandths up. So I wanna make it a little faster. I think like a 4 thousandths is good. So I'm gonna see if I have A, C, T, let's see another setup here. If I have B, D, U, I have 5, 6. Okay, so I'm gonna do B, D, U. B, if one of these knobs doesn't go in, we actually have to move the knob at the same time that we move the chuck. And then my gear is gonna slip in, okay? So let's use this auto feed now. So if I turn it on, if I have this lever here, if I push it in and I go up, or and I go down, I go in the x-axis. If I push out and I pull up, then I go in the y-axis, right? So we want to go in the x-axis. We want to go in. So if I push in and I push up, we can see that this lever started moving for me. So now it's moving at a constant speed for me all the way to the end. So that's gonna give me a better finish. Okay? So I'm gonna keep my hand here on the lever. So when I'm done, I'm gonna go up, and then I'm good. And then, as I said, after every pass, what do I wanna do? I wanna zero to, so I know my new position. Okay? All right. So let's say I'm gonna bring this all the way down. We wanna evaluate how our finish is. So our finish is perfect. What are the possible problems with our finish? So if we have our piece here, and we start cutting, let's say that this is the center, and our cutter is a little bit below the center. So as soon as I finish cutting, because this thing is rotating, I'm gonna cut everything but a little stub in the middle. So I'm gonna end up with this. A little stub in the middle. So that's what I get if I'm cutting below the center. If I'm cutting below, if I'm cutting above the center, my blade is kind of like this. So here is gonna cut, but if it's rubbing here, it's gonna rub, so it's gonna remove some material. So if I'm cutting above the center, what's gonna give is actually like something more like this, right? So for us here, on our finish, we can look, it's perfect. It's pretty flat. So I don't have to worry. So I'm cut at height, right? So why did I do all this? Because I want to remove the least amount of material, right? So let's say, imagine I cut this piece. Let's say we need this piece to be 2 inches, right? After I'm done. So this is my result. That's what I want, right? So if I cut this piece on the horizontal bend saw, and let's say that I cut this to be 2 1/8, right? So I have 2 1/25, and I'm gonna remove some material there, right? So this is what I have. If I take, let's say that I take, let's say that I take 60 thousandths from this side, right? And I take 60 thousandths from that side. See how I'm removing pretty much out of the boundary? See how risky that one is? So what I want to do is, I'm gonna take the least amount of material from this side. I'm gonna take the least amount of material from that side. And then when I have both sides faced, now I can measure. And then let's say that now I have 2 inches and 50 thousandths, right? Now I need to look at my specs. What do I want? Let's say that what I want is actually like a 2, 10, to 1990. Let's say that's my tolerance, right? So now I have, as I told you guys, we have to pick a target, right? We pick a number in here. And then we're gonna do some math here. Let's say that my goal here is, let's say that my goal is 2, right? So how much do I have to remove? So then I know that I have to remove 50 thousandths. Now I have to decide how am I gonna go about to remove 50 thousandths. Usually we try to take more material first and then less material next. So we have what we call a finishing pass. So for 50 thousandths, we could try to set up for like the first pass, we're gonna take 45 thousandths. In the second pass, we're gonna take 5 thousandths if it's necessary. Okay? So how do we do that? We already zeroed right on the face there, right? My Y is 0 right on the face. As I said, now we're gonna go in some 45 thousandths. We have to get it on the next. That's 12 thousandths. 30. Let's say 44,000. Okay. I start. I take a full pass. In this case, I can't measure unless I take it out. I measure, I put it in, I zero again, right? So in this case, it's one of the limitations of the lathe. When changing the Y, when changing the length, it's difficult to take passes and measure so you know where you're gonna get, right? But overall, for this video, what I wanted to know is how to do the facing. So I showed you that the facing starts with making a ring. You have to make a full ring. So the goal for the facing is remove as little material as possible. From one side, turning around, remove the least amount of material possible on the other side before we move on into removing material to make to the specifications, right? So we're gonna, to be able to remove the least amount of material from one side, we're gonna actually go in until we have a ring and not more than that. And then we take a full pass. Now we know that we took the least amount of material, but first we have to make a little move in very slow. And we stop the machine to check if we make a full ring, right? All right, so this was facing on the lathe. And this is one of the steps we're gonna take to actually make our part.